But so moving on to people who shouldn't make content, I would say, or shouldn't be involved in social media in any way at all. I'd like to talk about everyone's favorite billionaire, Elon Musk. Now, Brandon, I don't know if we ever talked about Elon Musk when you were on the show. Like, just before we get started, what's your opinion on Mr. Musk? You a big Musk guy? You a little soft on him? What do you think?
Not at all, man. I don't understand the fascination with the guy, to be honest. And I know so many people in my part of the world that just have this fascination with him, and I've never, to be honest with you, I've just never understood it.
Well, I guess I could understand it like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when everyone just thought he was the robot guy. He was the guy who made Teslas. He was the guy who was working with, space stuff before he had a public presence. I can kind of understand it then, but ever since he's, started opening his mouth, I don't really get it at all. So I don't know if you guys saw. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Oh, I don't know if you guys saw this the other day, but this really cracked me up in a dark way. But Elon Musk deletes a tweet promoting Tucker Carlson's interview with the Hitler-loving historian. And notice historians in quotes right there. And so he first tweeted out a tweet promoting Tucker Carlson's interview with a self-proclaimed historian who tried whitewashing the Holocaust. Carlson on Monday published a new episode of the Tucker Carlson Show, which it still exists on Twitter right now. I know you guys haven't seen it forever, but he's still cranking out content with podcaster Daryl Cooper. During their lengthy conversation, Cooper called Winston Churchill the chief villain of World War II and claimed the millions killed during the Holocaust were an unintended result of Germany taking prisoner of war without being prepared to do so. Now, I first ran across this because I can't remember the guy's name. I think his name is Seth Dillon. He's like the president or the CEO of the Babylon Bee. Not a cool guy by any stretch of the imagination. A solid right winger through and through. And the tweet that he put out said, "Wow, never thought that I lived to see the day where Tucker Carlson became a Hitler apologist. Yet here we are." It's like, man, really? I was like, you mean the day like 15 years ago when we all figured out that's exactly who Tucker Carlson was? But I was semi-pleasantly surprised to see the backlash he got from conservatives, that apparently there is a bridge too far for your average conservative who loves everything about Tucker Carlson. And Tucker Carlson just happened to have someone on who said the stuff, out loud and clearly that Tucker already believes and that Elon believes too. Let's be honest. And seeing the backlash against it. So to the extent that Elon was embarrassed and actually deleted it. What did you think about that? Did you run across it, Brandon?
This is the first I'm hearing about it. That does kind of surprise. Yeah, it really is. But no, I'm glad to see. I mean, I'm glad to see that there are, like you said, the bridge that can't be crossed. I would hope. I've really sat back so many times, man, and really hoped that when I've seen certain things, I'm like, come on, conservatives, be conservative here. Like, come out and say something against this. I don't want to jump the gun because I don't know what we're going to talk about. But, with the whole, John McCain comments, and his son recently came out and said he was going to be voting for Harris. All the things that we've seen Trump do and insult veterans, you keep sitting back waiting to see if conservatives are ever going to come to bat for it. So, I mean, at least he deleted that. I'll give him that much anyway.
How about you, John? What are your thoughts when you ran across this?
So it's one of those examples of how do I put this? When I used to say this all the time on this show, that a lot of what conservatives take as these sources of truth, they catch on because there is a grain of truth that they're based on. And this historian feeds right into that because he says something that is at a certain level true, that Winston Churchill kind of a dick.
John stole my point. God damn it.
For people who have no idea, like Winston Churchill, objectively a horrible person. He also hated Jewish people. He was very, very, he gave a lot of praise to fascists like Mussolini. Like, if he hadn't have fought Hitler for the pure reason of wanting England to not be, subservient to Germany, like, he would have agreed with a lot of his fucking points. And he's done a lot of bad things, especially when it comes to colonization in Africa. Like, very bad person. And so what this historian then does is he takes that truth and he twists it. And he starts saying things like, oh, really, Churchill was the main villain of World War II. Look at all of these bad things he did. Don't look over here at what Hitler did. He didn't mean to kill all of those people. He just wasn't adequately prepared for the war. And you slip in these far-right fascist Hitler apologist messages into this otherwise accurate assessment of Churchill, and that's how you get your fucking Nazi message in front of more mainstream audiences. And when you have someone like Elon Musk, who, you know, I'm not going to say he doesn't care about content moderation. He does care about content moderation of content that annoys him, but he doesn't care about content moderation as like something that should be done for the public health. And he just platforms these people. Tucker kind of has to, because he's gone down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But like Elon should know better, but he doesn't care. And it is telling that he actually deleted this one, because he hasn't deleted really bad shit that he's reposted in the past. This one, someone got to him. He was there like, hey, maybe not the Hitler apologist, and he actually listened. I wonder if he wanted to delete it or he was kicking and screaming. That's my biggest question.
Def kick scream for this guy. So I forgot to show what the tweet was right here. So this is what it was here, that Daryl Cooper was the guy that Tucker Carlson interviewed, and then Elon saw it, and then his classics, 3 and 4 word tweaks. Very interesting, worth watching. That both of those statements were lies. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't worth watching. But there was, although I do have a clip, so we can pull it up and show you guys. But John, that's what jumped out to me as well. That one thing that really bothered me about this was so much of the reaction was, how dare you say this about Winston Churchill? Like that's what you saw too. Yeah, that was a lion's share of the comments that I saw. So Winston Churchill is a hero. The man is a saint. And listen, I can't really blame them, most people, for thinking that, because that is what we were taught. That is what we were taught. You go to school, and so we have this unfortunate propensity to teach history as that great man theory of history. That's like, hey, this one person was so awesome that, by force of will alone, he changed the course of human nature. And that's not how history works. But we also have the tendency to put people in good person, bad person categories, and like it's a movie. And so, we have Hitler, so he's a bad person. So Churchill, his enemy, must have been a good person. And that's not the right way to look at this. You look at what the people did and what the consequences were. Whether they were personally motivated by good or evil is honestly inconsequential. But with Churchill, so people know about Hitler and the deaths that he caused by the millions. So did Churchill. And I wanted to pull this up, that Churchill's policy contributed to the 1943 Bengal famine. Now, famine is it ended up, if you see right here, it killed, 5 million people? 3 million people. And
whenever you're dealing with numbers like this and massive historical genocides, it could be 3 million. It could be 5 million.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it's more than that. Like you can't know for sure. The point is big numbers, a lot of people. Absolutely terrible. Who fucking knows? But this guy's a monster.
Yeah, a lot of people. And Churchill Bengal was still under British subjugation at the time, and he was taking food away from the Bengalis while there was a famine going on to feed people in Britain. And when people asked him about that, I said, hey, that seems kind of immoral that you're taking their food to feed people halfway around the world while they're starving. And he said something to the effect of, I don't really care about those people and their beastly lifestyle and their like primitive religion and stuff. So he took a lot of pleasure in killing these people. And,
TJ, you whitewashed that.
How did it go? Yeah, you remember the quote? How did it go?
I hate Indians. They are beastly people with a beastly religion.
There we go.
And he said it's their the starvation was their fault for breeding like rabbits.
Oh God, yeah.
It is somehow worse than you remember.
Worse than my memory. Worse than my memory. My God. And so with I forget the guy's name, where I'd never heard of this guy before that Tucker interviewed, Daryl Cooper. Yeah. So I wanted to play a clip from Tucker's show. I think it's the first time I've ever said that on this podcast. I can't remember ever saying anything like that. But let's see. This is what Elon Musk wanted us to check out. It was so good that he had to recommend it to everyone on Twitter. Let's see what he had to say.
Germany, look, they put themselves into a position, and Adolf Hitler is chiefly responsible for this, but his whole regime is responsible for it, that when they went into the East in 1941, they launched a war where they were completely unprepared to deal with the millions and millions of prisoners of war, of local political prisoners and so forth, that they were going to have to handle. They went in with no plan for that. And they just threw these people into camps, and millions of people ended up dead there. You have like letters as early as July, August 1941 from commandants of these makeshift camps that they're setting up for these millions of people who are surrendering or people they're rounding up. And so it's 2 months after, a month or two after Barbarossa was launched. And they're writing back to the high command in Berlin saying, we can't feed these people. We don't have the food to feed these people. And one of them actually says, rather than wait for them all to slowly starve this winter, wouldn't it be more humane to just finish them off quickly now?
So,
wow.
Brandon, I want to go to you with this. Did you know that the Holocaust was merely a logistics problem? Did you know that? It was just, I don't know if you're aware of that, but that's the information that Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk want us all to know.
That is so crazy. What's funny now that you showed that, I did see where that Elon shared that, but I didn't click on it because he said to watch it. It was like when I saw that, but it was like he said this is interesting. It's like I don't want anything to do with it. But what's so hypocritical about Elon is, if you remember when he was talking with Don Lemon, he made the argument that it was free speech, and he said that he wasn't going to, he said as long as if it's something they're saying that's illegal, we'll remove it. But he said it's not illegal. He's like, hate speech is not illegal. He made that argument. But I don't know if you're familiar with a left-leaning creator named Destiny, but he made some controversial remarks. I didn't really agree with him, but when the assassination attempt happened on Trump, he came out and basically said, I don't care. I wish, and was pretty brutal about it. So Elon demonetized him and said that wasn't suitable for all ads. And I was like, well, wait a minute. If you're going to let stuff like that remain on your channel, that kind of hate speech, what's the difference? Because he made the argument that unpopular speech was free speech. Well, I mean, I could argue the same on Destiny. It's like, yeah, it might have been popular, but he's definitely got a double standard there.
Well, September 5th, 6:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Elon Musk was hypocritical. We got to note that time and date. That knocked me over with a feather. I don't know if that was kind of wild. Holy shit. Go ahead, John.
It's funny because his whole free speech thing really, I mean, we know it's hypocritical, but it doesn't defend against active platforming. Like, you can say, hey, everyone's allowed on Twitter. And you know what? I can see arguments for that, reasonable arguments for just total free speech anarchy. I think there's problems with that, but I get there's a reasonable argument to be made. But specifically using your platform to put on a Hitler apologist and tweet out to billions of people, hey, watch this guy. Yeah, that's a different thing. That's not just laissez-faire. That's you saying this is what's interesting. This is what I care about. And it is such, like, Elon Musk, I swear to God, it's almost like let's assume there is a God, right? And he's been trying to send us messages about how, rich people aren't rich because they're so much smarter and better than us. They're actually quite dumb sometimes. When right-wingers advocate for free speech, they don't actually mean free speech. They just want to say they're crazy fucking fascist Hitler apologia shit. But God was like, they're not getting it. So I'm going to send Elon Musk to give the perfect example of what I'm trying to say. And still, there's millions of sycophants out there who'll jump in front of a bullet for this guy. And I don't get it. Like, I can't imagine still in the year 2024 being like, yeah, Elon, that's the guy that I want to die on that hill. It just doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't.
Yeah, it's kind of a first principles thing. You know how all human emotions and all human beliefs are at their core irrational. That if you go deep down the rabbit hole enough, like the example we talk about is, why is murder illegal? You say, well, because murder harms human society. Well, what's so good about human society? What's so good about human life? What's so good about life in general? Eventually you get down to an irrational principle that I don't like it. And that's every human belief. But some are a little more irrational than others. And this whole belief that rich people are our betters, that, like for whatever reason, that they're actually smarter and more talented than we are, or they have the divine right of kings. God has looked down and chosen to bless them. It's one of those two things, and conservatives can't break away from it. They just can't.
Which is ironically exactly what Winston Churchill believed.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This is whenever people talk about conservatism and everything, most people trace modern conservatism back to William F. Buckley. That's kind of what they would go to. You can go back to what's his name? Well, never mind. This point would have made a lot more sense if I could remember the guy's name. But he was arguing for monarchy, or how the aristocracy actually knows what they're doing. But this thing with Elon Musk is they can't break away. It's why Donald Trump.
You talking about Machiavelli?
No. I'll have to look it up when one of you other guys are talking. But one of the that's why Trump was destined to win that first primary in 2015, 2016. He had the most money. And the way the system is, the more money you have, the better person you are. And why would you follow anyone else as long as Donald Trump had more money? And they feel the same way about Elon Musk. Additionally, John, also Brandon, yesterday, John and I were talking about Kirsten Sinema and what a enigma she's been over the last few years, and how her term is ending. She's not going to be reelected. And I sent out an open invitation for her to come on the show, not to be antagonistic. It's that we just want to talk. We just want to talk. I feel the same way about God. God, if you can hear this, I just want you to come down. We just have some questions. We want to know why you set this up the way you set it up. Who am I to question you? But I do it every day anyway. So you might as well face me, you coward. Just come down here and let me know what you got planned here. But the thing about right-wing media, and we'll get into a little bit later with another episode we got planned, is that this is what I was thinking before the show, guys, that it's really unfortunate that right-wing media in particular, there is a massive benefit to you financially and a benefit to your clout to be as awful of a human being as you possibly can. You say as many slurs as you can, you be as sociopathic as you can, and there's a shitload of money in it for you. And I don't know how to solve that problem. I really don't. John, you deal with these folks all the time. Have you thought about a way to get around this?
No, because you're right. It is it's like a badge of honor. We talk on the left how we have purity tests, and they have the exact opposite of that, where they have a impurity test. The more raucous, the more insensitive, the more hurtful that you can be with your words, the more you are sticking to their core values in a way. And it's fundamentally, I don't think it's fundamentally a bad thing necessarily, because there's always going to be a group of people that believe that the problem isn't that people who like that exist, because we've all been middle school boys, there's always going to be demand for that shock kind of content. The problem here specifically that Elon Musk so brilliantly symbolizes is that when that person controls the algorithm, it spreads like fucking wildfire. I shouldn't have to know who Daryl Cooper is. I should not have to know his name. I should have never heard of him. And yet he's now been platformed to millions and millions of people who would not have heard of him otherwise, because Elon Musk controls the algorithm and literally can just tweet that out. And there's, people argue, oh, well, if he's so wrong, then he'll be defeated in the free marketplace of ideas. And no, because people who are idiots will listen to him and think he's right, whether he is or not. And those people would not have otherwise heard him and heard these ideas that are very dangerous if he had not been platformed. And that's the problem. I'm all for legitimate good faith debate and end the free marketplace of ideas. I will smash your little product to bits if you want. But platforming Nazi apologists, it should just be obviously don't do that. And because there's nothing to be gained from that. We already saw what that argument does. Like we already saw the results of platforming Nazis. It's not a good idea. And so just don't. And the world will be a better place. We don't need to have this argument again. We've already had it. It's over. The ideas have been defeated, but they can rise again, and we don't want them to.
Yeah.
I want to add to that, but before I do, I want to acknowledge something in the comments here. So while you were talking, John, I remembered it was Edmund Burke, who was the father of modern conservatism, and I wrote it in the comments, but I didn't notice that the Dirty Bubble had already wrote it there, and so then he commented, why did I think of that? I wasn't trying to clown on you. I'm sorry, I didn't. And it's funny, I put it like in like an exclamation mark, aha! It's Edmund Burke when it was already right there. It makes it very funny. It's just very funny, but I appreciate it. But yeah, Edmund Burke is the one who argued that like the fall of the aristocracy in Western Europe was a bad thing because look at these slack-jawed peasants and merchants. They couldn't possibly handle the weight of knowing about world economic affairs, and which is essentially what conservatives believe. Like they believe that in no uncertain terms, like a nobility class should be the ones who rule all this. But Brandon, I want to ask you about this. What John said about I always refer to conservatives' appeal to free speech as just the coward's last refuge. They do it all the time. Like they resort to according to the First Amendment, I have the legal right to say this, so you can't complain, as if that's what the First Amendment is. And even when they try to use it to solve problems, like John was mentioning, they've been complaining about certain content being taken off of social media. Like, well, you guys are capitalists, right? This is what you want. Like you want the person in charge of this to run the show. That's your plan. And their only way to solve it is for the right billionaire to take charge, which is what happened with Elon Musk. And I don't know if you guys have seen Twitter lately. It is falling apart. Like Elon is begging people to advertise on it. He's losing money left and right. He's essentially just fucking around now. Now he's just like, well, I own this thing and no one can stop me from being a white supremacist, so I'm going to keep doing that. Do you run across this free speech whining every now and then?
All the time, actually. It's something I see so much of, and I just think they don't have an understanding of what free speech is. It's one thing, you're free to say what you want to say, but that doesn't mean that you're free from accountability. I mean, people can call you out over what you said and disagree with you. And going back to something you said about their message being so cruel, for a long time, I caught myself saying they're giving Trump a pass for this. I caught myself saying that a lot. And then one day I realized, no, it's not that they're giving him a pass for the things that he's done. They love him for doing those things. That's why they cheer him on. And the more cruel and more hateful he gets, they cheer that on and then sit back and cry. If they get kicked off of a platform somewhere, they sit back and cry that their free speech was trampled on. And I just don't buy into that at all. I think, again, when you have a platform, Elon Musk says he bought Twitter to make it a digital town square where everyone could come and express their ideas. But like you said, he platforms white supremacists. He's platforming Nazis and defending that. And meanwhile, we'll find any excuse he can to silence someone that disagrees with him. So it's not really about free speech to them. It's just about being a bully, in my opinion. And using the First Amendment as a way to justify themselves.
Hard agree. Good stuff. All right, it's a good cut right there. I wanted to play another clip. It was only like sorta related to what we were talking about, so I was waiting for it. But I don't know if either of you saw, there was this Israeli podcast host talking about Gaza a couple of days ago and his thoughts on it, and it's ungood. But since we're talking about genocidal language right here, I can't remember the guy's name. I don't think it's on the thing here, but let's see. But this is just example. I don't know, 500 that podcast. Oh, did we lose John?
Looks like I don't.
Oh, well, John's going to want to hear this. Okay, hold on. Let me wait for him to get back on. I hope I didn't kick him off. I hope I didn't do that on accident. But all right, let's go through some comments here. Apparently, Trump lost. Did you guys hear this? So I don't know if Clint's still on. I think he made that comment about half an hour ago. But I saw something about Trump admitting he lost. I saw a couple of days I saw him say something that he lost by a whisker. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
that's
saw
what
that
you're
too.
referring to. Yeah, that guy. Trump lost what? Oh,
Yeah.
let's see.
Yeah, I did see that where he said that he lost by a whisker. I saw that. There has to be that moment. We'll probably never get lucky enough to hear it, but there has to be that moment behind closed doors where he was admitting that he lost. And like there just has to be that moment where I picture it being like, how are we going to spin this? How are we going to turn this around? Because he had to have known. There's no way
He knows. He knows. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
I can see maybe him being delusional enough to think he actually won the night or something, but especially when you hear like the depositions and stuff for January 6th, and like Bill Barr was telling him he lost, like all his lawyers, Mike Pence, like everyone's like, no, man, there's nothing here. And then just going forward with it, I don't know how, but he sticks with it. But you know why he sticks with it? Because it works. Because it works. It works. It's just like you have Mike Lindell, who has been pushing this for 4 straight years. Like he's lost millions of dollars into this. And I saw something. I saw this video of this lady, and she was talking about how she believed that the election was stolen, that she believed that the courts would actually overrule all this. And the guy was telling her, well, there were 60 court cases. They lost all but one, and one was like a procedural issue. The Supreme Court rejected all this. And she's like, nope, I've got other evidence that you don't know about. You just don't know what's going on. And I remember thinking, is like, we're going to be dealing with this for the next 1 or 2 generations. Like that lady will die believing Donald Trump won that 2020 election, even though with everything we saw, Fox News having to pay nearly $1 billion and it's not going to change. And so why would Trump change his mind on it? I don't know. It's wild.
It's going to go on forever, man. I really believe we're stuck with it for the rest of our lives. For sure. And the thing about Mike Lindell that I've thought so many times is you never see Trump ever go to bat and help any of these people. It's like when they lose, I think, even if they lose fighting for him, he just views them as a loser. It's like you never see him actually out there going to bat or trying to help Mike Lindell out at all. And there's people, like you said, I mean, I've seen it too, that always come back with, no, we have evidence that you didn't see. I think as long as we're around, we're going to have to deal with this. I think our grandkids will be dealing with it, honestly.
Yeah. See, John texted on. What did he say? His Wi-Fi just crashed. Oh, okay. Sorry about John. Yeah, it is kind of sad to see. All right. Well, we'll just continue on. All right.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this show. If I look a little bit different right now, it's because I'm having technical difficulties. But I'm very still much appreciating that you watched all the way to the end of the episode. And if you are like me, then every time Tennessee Brando says a word beginning with WH, you get a little hit of dopamine. And you might want to get that hit again. So, Tennessee Brando, in case anyone wants to see you somewhere else, where can they find you?
Oh, well, appreciate that. I'm on YouTube as a Tennessee Brando, Facebook, pretty much everywhere, on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. It's TN_Brando. And I only have those accounts. There are so many fake accounts out there of me now, and so many imposters running scams. Don't fall for any of those. My official pages are out there, and most of my content is on YouTube, but I put it everywhere else too. I really appreciate you guys for having me on.
Thanks so much, man. We really appreciate you, Brandon. Listen, everyone, we appreciate you watching the entire show. Feel free to check us out on YouTube, on TikTok. Your right to watch our content shall not be infringed. You can do it anytime you want. I also want to speak for John. He wanted to pass along a message that TJ Whitehead, powers taken, not given, is the alpha and the omega of this show, the beginning and the end. He controls everything. He is the brains. He is the brawn. This is his brainchild. John just wanted to pass the best compliments possible, and I'm sure you all agree. So we'll catch you guys later next time. Let's see if the sound comes back. All right.